Have you ever felt confused by someone's mixed signals? Maybe they said yes with their mouth, but their eyes told a completely different story. Or perhaps you walked into a meeting and sensed hidden agendas, but couldn't pinpoint exactly what was happening beneath the surface. Maybe you've trusted someone's promises, only to discover later that their actions revealed entirely different intentions. The confusion, the disappointment, the feeling of being fooled. These experiences are universal, and they happen because most of us never learned how to read what people really mean behind their words. The truth is, life becomes clearer, safer, and more successful when you learn to read people's true intentions. In today's complex world, this skill isn't just helpful, it's absolutely essential for protecting yourself, building better relationships, and making smarter decisions in every area of your life. Whether you're negotiating a business deal, choosing friends to trust, leading a team at work, or even dating someone new, understanding what people really want gives you a tremendous advantage that most people never develop. Think about it this way. Every single day, you encounter people who smile while plotting against you, agree with you while secretly resenting your ideas, or make promises while already planning to disappoint you. The person who can see through these facades, who can read between the lines and understand true motivations, holds incredible power in any situation. This isn't about becoming suspicious or cynical, it's about becoming wise and discerning. So, if you're ready to see beyond surface appearances, decode hidden motivations, and never be fooled by false promises again, this comprehensive guide is for you. Let's explore the fascinating world of reading true intentions and transform how you understand human behavior forever. Because when you master this skill, you'll never have to wonder what someone really thinks about you, your ideas, or your proposals ever again. Why reading intentions is your ultimate superpower. Most people focus only on what others say. But words are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to human communication. True intentions live much deeper, hidden beneath layers of polite conversation, social masks, and learned behaviors that people use to navigate complex social situations. Every day, you encounter people who have learned to separate their public face from their private thoughts, their spoken words from their real feelings. Reading intentions is like having X-ray vision for the human soul. While others get confused by contradictory signals and mixed messages, you see the truth clearly. While others fall for smooth manipulation and clever deception, you spot the warning signs early and protect yourself. While others waste precious time and energy on people who make false promises, you invest your resources in people who genuinely mean what they say and follow through on their commitments. This skill protects you in countless ways throughout your personal and professional life. In business negotiations, you can identify who truly supports your ideas versus who secretly opposes them but won't say so directly. You can spot the difference between genuine partnership offers and attempts to take advantage of your resources or expertise. In workplace dynamics, you can recognize who is genuinely collaborative versus who is competing with you behind the scenes. In personal relationships, this skill is even more valuable. You can distinguish between genuine care and emotional manipulation. You can recognize authentic friendships versus opportunistic connections, where people only contact you when they need something. You can identify romantic partners who are genuinely interested in building something real with you versus those who are just using you for temporary convenience or emotional validation. But reading intentions isn't just about protection and avoiding negative people. It's also about building deeper, more meaningful connections with others. When you understand what people really want, what truly motivates them, and what their genuine concerns are, you can communicate more effectively than ever before. You can offer help that actually matters to them. You can build trust by addressing their real needs rather than just responding to their surface requests. You become someone others feel truly understood by, because you see beyond their words to their deeper needs, fears, and desires. This makes you incredibly valuable in any social or professional context. People naturally gravitate toward those who understand them at a deeper level, and they trust such people with more responsibility, more opportunities, and more intimate aspects of their lives. The key insight that changes everything is this: intentions always leak through behavior. No matter how skilled someone is at hiding their true motives, their real intentions eventually show up in patterns of action, unconscious micro-expressions, vocal changes, and countless other subtle signals that most people never learn to notice. Your job is to become a detective of these subtle signals, and once you develop this skill, you'll wonder how you ever navigated life without it. Start with the baseline, understanding their normal behavior. Before you can spot deception, hidden agendas, or conflicted intentions, you must first understand someone's normal, authentic behavior patterns. This baseline becomes your reference point for detecting changes that might signal different intentions or emotional states. Without establishing this baseline, you might misinterpret someone's natural personality traits as signs of deception or hidden motives. Everyone has unique patterns when they're being genuine and relaxed. Some people naturally avoid direct eye contact when they're thinking deeply about something. Others tend to fidget with objects when they're concentrating or processing information. Some individuals speak quickly and enthusiastically when they're excited about an idea, while others become very quiet and thoughtful when they're genuinely interested in something. Building an accurate baseline requires patient observation across many different situations and contexts. You need to watch how they behave when they're relaxed and comfortable, when they're under stress or pressure, when they're happy and celebrating, and when they're discussing neutral topics that don't carry emotional weight for them. Notice their typical speech patterns, their natural body language, their usual emotional responses to different types of situations. This process creates a psychological profile of their authentic self, which becomes invaluable for detecting when something changes. For example, if someone usually maintains steady eye contact during conversations but suddenly starts looking away when discussing a specific topic, that shift becomes significant and worth investigating further. If they normally speak with confidence and clarity but become hesitant, use more filler words, or seem to choose their words very carefully when certain subjects arise, their intentions around those subjects might be unclear or conflicted. The baseline also helps you distinguish between natural personality traits and intentional deception or manipulation. Someone who is naturally shy, introverted, or socially anxious might seem suspicious or evasive to people who don't know them well. Their natural tendency to avoid eye contact, speak softly, or seem uncomfortable in social situations could be misinterpreted as signs that they're hiding something or being dishonest. But once you understand their baseline shyness and social discomfort, you can better identify when they're actually being deceptive versus just being themselves in a social situation that makes them uncomfortable. This prevents you from making unfair judgments about people based on their natural personality rather than their actual intentions or behavior. Pay special attention to how people behave in low-stakes, casual situations where they have no reason to be deceptive or manipulative. This is when their authentic personality emerges most clearly. without the pressure of trying to impress anyone or achieve any particular outcome. How do they treat service workers like waiters, cashiers, or delivery drivers? How do they handle minor inconveniences like traffic jams, long lines, or small mistakes? How do they respond to unexpected changes in plans or surprising information? These moments reveal character and provide crucial baseline data about who they really are when they're not performing for anyone or trying to achieve any specific goal. The person who is genuinely kind will show kindness even when there's no benefit to them. The person who is naturally patient will remain calm even in frustrating situations. The person who is honest by nature will be straightforward even in casual conversations where small lies would be easy and harmless. The secret language of micro-expression, shaman faces are incredibly expressive instruments, capable of conveying thousands of subtle emotional states and reactions. But most people only notice the obvious, dramatic emotions that people choose to display openly. True intention reading requires developing the ability to spot micro-expressions, those fleeting facial movements that last less than a second but reveal genuine feelings before conscious control takes over and masks them. When someone feels one emotion but tries to display another for social or strategic reasons, there's always a brief moment where their true feeling flashes across their face before they can consciously control their expression. A person might smile politely while feeling angry or frustrated, but for a split second, you'll see tension around their eyes, a slight tightening of their jaw, or a momentary downward pull at the corners of their mouth. The 7 universal micro-expressions that appear across all human cultures are happiness, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, disgust, and contempt. Each has specific facial markers that trained observers can learn to recognize. These expressions appear the same way whether someone is from New York or Tokyo, whether they're a CEO or a student, because they're hardwired into human neurology rather than learned through culture. Learning to spot these micro-expressions gives you direct insight into people's immediate emotional reactions to your words, ideas, or proposals. You can see in real time whether someone is genuinely excited about your suggestion or just being polite. You can detect fear, resistance, or skepticism even when someone is trying to appear supportive and agreeable. Watch particularly for incongruence between expressed emotions and micro-expressions. If someone says they're excited about your proposal, but you catch a flash of fear, disgust, or contempt crossing their face, their true intention might be to avoid, resist, or even undermine your idea, despite their positive words. This incongruence is one of the most reliable signals that someone's stated intentions don't match their genuine feelings. The eyes are especially revealing because they're involved in almost every genuine emotion. Authentic emotions engage the entire face, creating what researchers call Duchenne markers, the involvement of muscles around the eyes that are difficult to control consciously. A real smile creates wrinkles around the eyes and lifts the cheeks, engaging the orbicularist oculi muscles. A fake smile typically only moves the lips and the zygomatic major muscle, leaving the eyes unchanged. Similarly, genuine concern, empathy, or sadness shows in the eyebrows and forehead, not just in spoken words of sympathy. Real surprise involves the entire face, raised eyebrows, widened eyes, and often a slightly open mouth. Fake surprise usually only involves 1 or 2 of these elements and often looks exaggerated or theatrical. Practice this skill by watching people in everyday conversations. paying close attention to their faces during moments of emotional transition. Notice how their facial expressions change when different topics arise in conversation. Pay attention to the split-second reactions that occur before they compose themselves and put on their social mask. Watch for the tiny moments of genuine emotion that leak through their controlled expressions. Over time, you'll develop an almost intuitive ability to spot the difference between authentic and performed emotions. You'll notice when someone's smile doesn't reach their eyes, when their expression of concern seems rehearsed rather than genuine, or when their show of enthusiasm lacks the spontaneous energy of real excitement. This skill alone will transform your ability to understand what people really think and feel about you, your ideas, and your proposals. Decoding voice patterns and speech tells why people can carefully control their choice of words. Their voice often betrays their true intentions through subtle changes in tone, rhythm, pitch, and delivery. Voice patterns provide a direct pipeline to someone's emotional state and hidden motivations. Because the voice is controlled by the same nervous system that responds to stress, excitement, fear, and deception. Stress, deception, and conflicted intentions all create measurable changes in vocal patterns that trained listeners can learn to detect. When someone is lying or hiding something important, their voice often rises in pitch due to tension in their vocal cords. This happens because stress causes the muscles around the larynx to tighten, creating a higher, more strained sound than their normal speaking voice. Their breathing also becomes shallower when they're being deceptive or feeling conflicted about their intentions. This shallow breathing creates choppy speech patterns with unnatural pauses, incomplete sentences, or a rushed quality as they try to get through uncomfortable information quickly without giving themselves time to think about what they're revealing. Listen carefully for changes in speech speed compared to their baseline normal pace. People often talk faster when they're nervous, excited, or trying to get through information they'd rather not discuss in detail. They might slow down dramatically when they're being carefully deceptive, choosing their words very precisely to avoid revealing too much, or when they're unsure about their own intentions and need time to think. Pay attention to volume changes that don't match the content of what they're saying. Someone might speak more quietly when discussing sensitive topics they'd rather avoid, almost as if they're hoping you won't pay close attention to that part of the conversation. Conversely, they might speak louder when trying to convince you and themselves of something they don't fully believe, using volume to create an impression of confidence they don't actually feel. The use of filler words like you know, and like often increases significantly when people are being deceptive or when their intentions are unclear even to themselves. However, be careful not to overinterpret this signal, as some people naturally use more fillers than others due to personality, education, or cultural background. What matters is changes from their normal pattern. Notice voice quality changes that suggest emotional strain or careful control. A person's voice might become strained, breathy, unusually controlled, or artificially smooth when they're managing conflicting intentions or trying to hide their true feelings. Their natural vocal rhythm might become stilted, overly careful, or mechanically precise in a way that suggests they're monitoring every word. Word choice patterns also reveal intentions in subtle but important ways. People with hidden agendas often use more qualifying language like "I think maybe," "it's possible that," or some people might say, instead of making direct, confident statements. They might use distancing language that removes personal responsibility. saying things like mistakes were made instead of I made a mistake. They might avoid personal pronouns when discussing topics they're not fully committed to, saying one might consider instead of I believe, or people often find instead of I think. This linguistic distancing suggests they're not fully behind their stated position, or they're trying to avoid personal accountability for their opinions or recommendations. Body language. Reading the unguarded truth, the human body is remarkably honest, often revealing intentions that the conscious mind desperately tries to hide. Unlike facial expressions, which people learn to control from early childhood through social conditioning, most body language operates below the level of conscious awareness and is therefore much more reliable for reading true intentions and emotional states when people feel confident about their intentions and comfortable with what they're saying. Their posture naturally opens up and expands. They take up their full space without apology, keep their arms uncrossed and available for gesturing, and move with fluid, natural grace. Their body language says, I have nothing to hide, and I'm comfortable with who I am and what I'm telling you. When they're hiding something, feeling conflicted about their intentions, or being deceptive, their body unconsciously closes off and creates barriers. They might cross their arms, hold objects in front of their torso, or position themselves at an angle that creates distance. Their posture becomes more rigid and controlled, as if they're holding themselves carefully to avoid revealing too much. Watch for hand movements and gestures, which are particularly revealing because they're so difficult to control consciously. Honest, straightforward intentions typically produce open, flowing gestures that support and emphasize their words. Their hands move naturally and expressively, helping to illustrate their points and showing engagement with their own ideas. Deceptive or conflicted intentions often result in restricted hand movements, hands hidden in pockets or behind their back, or increased self-soothing behaviors like touching their face, neck, or hair. They might fidget with objects, create barriers with their belongings, or display nervous energy through repetitive movements that suggest internal discomfort with what they're saying or doing. Foot positioning reveals a tremendous amount about true intentions because feet are the most honest part of the body. They're farthest from conscious awareness and closest to our instinctive fight or flight responses. People's feet naturally point toward what they're interested in and away from what they want to avoid or escape from. If someone's body faces you during conversation, but their feet point toward the exit, part of them wants to leave the conversation or situation. If they're talking to you, but their feet point toward someone else in the room, their attention and interest are really focused on that other person, not on you. Notice changes in breathing patterns, which are closely connected to emotional state and stress levels. Shallow, rapid breathing often accompanies deception, anxiety, or internal conflict. Deep, steady breathing usually indicates comfort with one's intentions and statements. You can often see these breathing changes in the rise and fall of their shoulders or chest. Pay attention to mirroring behavior, which is one of the most reliable indicators of genuine agreement and shared intentions. When people truly agree with you, feel comfortable with you, or share similar intentions, they unconsciously mirror your posture and movements. They might lean forward when you do, cross their legs in the same direction, or adopt similar arm positions. Lack of mirroring, or active contrasting where they do the opposite of your movements, might indicate disagreement, resistance, or hidden opposition. Even if their words suggest they're on your side, This unconscious body language often reveals true feelings more accurately than carefully chosen words. The power of inconsistency patterns. One of the most reliable ways to identify hidden intentions is to watch for patterns of inconsistency between words and actions over extended periods of time. While anyone can maintain a facade briefly, especially in short interactions or high-stakes situations, true intentions eventually emerge through repeated behaviors and choices that reveal what people really prioritize and value. People with genuine, honest intentions show remarkable consistency across different situations, time periods, and social contexts. Their words align with their actions, their public behavior matches their private behavior, and their commitments are consistently followed by corresponding efforts and investments of time, energy, and resources. They don't just talk about their values, they live them consistently. Even when it's inconvenient or costly. They don't just make promises, they follow through with concrete actions that demonstrate their commitment. They don't just express support for ideas, they invest their own resources in making those ideas successful. Those with hidden or deceptive intentions, on the other hand, often display telling inconsistencies that reveal the gap between what they say and what they actually prioritize. They might enthusiastically support an idea in public meetings or conversations, but never take any concrete steps to implement it or help it succeed. They might promise help, support, or collaboration, but consistently find excuses when the time comes for actual action. They might claim to value certain principles, but regularly make choices that contradict those stated values. These patterns of inconsistency reveal their true priorities and intentions more clearly than any single statement or action. Look specifically for gaps between stated values and actual choices over time. Someone who claims to value honesty but regularly tells small lies, omits important information, or misleads people through selective truth-telling is revealing their true relationship with honesty. Someone who says they prioritize family but consistently chooses work, social activities, or personal interests over family time is showing you what they actually value most. Notice how people behave when they think no one important is watching, or when there are no immediate consequences for their actions. True intentions often emerge most clearly in these unguarded moments. How do they treat people who can't help or hurt them? How do they handle situations where they could easily get away with selfish or dishonest behavior? Pay attention to what people consistently avoid, deflect, or postpone. Topics they repeatedly steer away from. Questions they consistently dodge with humor or subject changes. Commitments they repeatedly postpone or renegotiate often point to areas where their stated intentions don't match their true feelings or capabilities. Track follow-through. Patterns over multiple interactions and commitments. People with genuine intentions follow through on commitments large and small. Remember important details from previous conversations and consistently invest time and energy in their stated priorities. They do what they say they'll do when they say they'll do it, without constant reminders or pressure from others. Reading group dynamics and hidden alliances, understanding individual intentions becomes significantly more complex in group settings, where people often hide their true feelings behind social politeness, professional courtesy, or political considerations. Learning to read group dynamics reveals hidden alliances, unspoken power structures, and secret agendas that can dramatically impact outcomes and relationships in any group interaction. There are always multiple layers of communication happening simultaneously. There's the official conversation that everyone can hear, But there are also numerous silent conversations happening through glances, gestures, positioning, an energy that revealed the real power dynamics and genuine relationships between group members. Watch carefully who speaks first when controversial topics arise or when difficult questions are asked. This often reveals who feels most confident about their position, who has been designated by the group to voice their collective opinion, or who naturally takes leadership roles in challenging situations. The person who consistently speaks first might be the real decision maker. Regardless of official titles or stated hierarchy, notice who others look to for approval, confirmation, or guidance before speaking or committing to positions. These quick glances reveal the real influence structure within the group. The person who receives these looks often holds genuine power and influence, even if they don't have the highest official title or the most obvious authority. Observe seating patterns and physical positioning choices, which reveal comfort levels, alliances, and power dynamics. People naturally position themselves near allies and create physical distance from those they disagree with, distrust, or feel uncomfortable around. The person who chooses a seat where they can monitor everyone else in the room might be gathering intelligence, feeling insecure about hidden agendas, or trying to maintain control over the group dynamic. Notice interruption patterns and speaking time distribution. Who gets interrupted most often and who never gets interrupted? Who speaks for the longest periods without being challenged, and who gets cut off quickly? These patterns reveal respect levels, hidden power dynamics, and group hierarchies that might not match the official organizational structure. Watch for subtle alliance, signals that indicate pre-planned coordination or shared intentions that haven't been openly discussed. These might include synchronized movements, shared glances at key moments, coordinated responses to questions, or similar language patterns that suggest prior discussion or agreement. Pay attention to energy shifts that occur when certain people enter or leave the room. If the group's mood, behavior, or discussion style changes dramatically with someone's presence or absence, that person likely plays a significant role in the hidden dynamics, either as a source of tension, a power center, or a mediating influence. Digital age intention reading. Modern communication happens increasingly through digital channels, creating entirely new opportunities to read intentions through online behavior patterns, digital communication styles, and virtual interaction habits. Text messages, emails, social media interactions, and video calls all contain valuable clues about people's true motivations, priorities, and feelings that many people never learn to recognize. Response. Timing patterns reveal tremendous amounts about intentions and priorities, often more than the actual content of messages. Someone who usually responds to your messages quickly but suddenly becomes slow to reply to certain topics might be avoiding those subjects, reconsidering their position, or feeling uncomfortable with the direction of the conversation. Conversely, unusually quick responses to sensitive topics might indicate anxiety over eagerness to control the narrative, or desperation to convince you of something before you have time to think critically about it. People who are hiding something often either avoid communication entirely or over-communicate to create an impression of openness and honesty. Notice significant changes in communication style compared to their normal patterns. Someone who usually writes detailed, thoughtful messages but suddenly becomes brief and formal might be distancing themselves emotionally, feeling uncomfortable with recent developments, or trying to minimize their involvement in certain situations. Overly formal language in normally casual relationships can indicate discomfort, displeasure, or an attempt to create professional distance where personal warmth previously existed. Sudden increases in casual language or forced friendliness might indicate attempts to manipulate your emotions or distract you from important issues. Pay attention to what people choose to communicate through different channels and how they distribute information across various platforms. Important, genuine communications often happen through more personal, direct channels like phone calls, face-to-face meetings, or private messages. Less committed intentions or manipulative communications might be relegated to less personal channels like group texts, public posts, or formal emails. Watch for emoji and punctuation patterns, which often reveal emotional states and attitudes more honestly than carefully chosen words. Changes in someone's typical use of exclamation points, casual abbreviations, or informal language might indicate shifts in their emotional state, their feelings toward you, or their intentions regarding specific topics or relationships. Notice what people share publicly versus privately, as inconsistencies between public statements and private communications often reveal true intentions and genuine beliefs. Someone might publicly support an idea, person, or cause, while privately expressing doubts, criticism, or resistance. These inconsistencies reveal what they really believe versus what they think is socially or professionally advantageous to express. The ethics and wisdom of intention reading, with the power to read people's true intentions, comes the serious responsibility to use this knowledge ethically and wisely. The goal should always be understanding, connection, and mutual benefit, never manipulation, exploitation, or harm. This skill is meant to help you build better relationships and make wiser decisions, not to take advantage of others or use psychological insights for purely selfish purposes. Use intention reading skills primarily to protect yourself from deception, manipulation, and harmful relationships while building more authentic, meaningful connections with people who share your values and genuinely care about your well-being. When you understand what people really want, what truly motivates them, and what their genuine concerns are, you can communicate more effectively and to offer help that actually matters to them. This creates positive cycles where understanding leads to better communication, which leads to stronger trust, which leads to more honest and open relationships. People naturally gravitate toward those who understand them at a deeper level, and they reward such understanding with loyalty, cooperation, and genuine affection. Avoid using these insights to manipulate or take advantage of others, even when you could easily do so. The moment you start using psychological insights primarily for selfish gain, you become exactly the kind of person others need to protect themselves from. This destroys your integrity and ultimately makes you less trustworthy and less successful in building the kind of relationships that create lasting happiness and success. Remember that everyone has complex, sometimes conflicting intentions that change over time as they grow, learn, and face new circumstances. Someone might have mixed feelings about a situation, leading to seemingly contradictory signals that reflect genuine internal conflict rather than deception or manipulation. Approach your observations with compassion and understanding rather than judgment or criticism. Most people are doing their best with the emotional tools and life experiences they have. When you see someone struggling with conflicted intentions or behaving in ways that seem inconsistent, try to understand the pressures, fears, or past experiences that might be influencing their behavior. respect people's privacy and their right to keep certain thoughts and feelings to themselves until they're ready to share them. Not every hidden intention is deceptive or harmful. Some people simply need time to process their feelings, work through complex decisions, or build enough trust to share vulnerable aspects of their inner world. Use your insights to create win-win situations whenever possible. When you understand what someone really wants or needs, you can often find creative solutions that meet both your needs and theirs. This builds trust, demonstrates your good intentions, and creates mutual benefit that strengthens relationships over time. Becoming the silent master. The journey to reading anyone's true intentions is not just about learning techniques or memorizing signals. It's about developing a deeper understanding of human nature itself, becoming someone who sees beyond the surface and connects with the authentic person beneath the social masks we all wear as you practice these skills. Remember that the most powerful observers are often the quietest people in the room. They don't feel the need to dominate conversations or prove their intelligence through constant talking. Instead, they watch, listen, and learn. They ask thoughtful questions and create space for others to reveal themselves naturally. This quiet strength is incredibly attractive to others. People feel safe around those who truly listen and understand them. They open up more readily, share their genuine thoughts and feelings, and build deeper connections with those who demonstrate this level of emotional intelligence and wisdom. The world needs more people who can bridge the gap between what is said and what is meant, who can see through confusion and conflict to find common ground and mutual understanding. By developing these skills, you become a force for clarity and connection in a world that often feels divided and misunderstood. Practice patience with yourself as you develop these abilities. Like any skill, reading intentions takes time to master. Start with low-stakes situations where you can observe without pressure. Pay attention to your own intuitions and gut feelings, and gradually learn to trust and refine them through experience. Most importantly, never lose sight of the fundamental truth that drives all human behavior. Everyone wants to be understood, accepted, and valued. When you approach others with genuine curiosity and compassion, seeking to understand rather than to judge, you create the conditions for authentic connection and mutual trust. This is the true power of reading intentions, not to manipulate or control others, but to understand them so deeply that you can respond with wisdom, kindness, and genuine care. In a world full of surface-level interactions and shallow connections, this depth of understanding is both rare and precious. So begin this journey with an open heart and a curious mind. Watch carefully, listen deeply, and trust in your growing ability to see the truth that lies beneath the words. Because when you master the art of reading true intentions, you don't just become better at understanding others, you become someone worth understanding in return.